Welcome back to the second video in the series Book Titles, a mixture of art and science. This is the first of our free pro tip seminars we're offering here at ePublish Unum. Thanks very much for watching. I'm Evo, and along with Jeff, we formed ePublish Unum and are helping authors survive and thrive in a digital world. In the last video, I showed you how to use a free tool by Google, the Google Keyword Tool, to help fine-tune and pick the right title for your book. If you missed part one, you're still going to get value here. I mean, these aren't necessarily designed to be watched in order, but your mileage may vary. This video continues on the theme of helping you pick that right title, but it gets even deeper into that concept of search intent. Now, I received some feedback on the last recording, questioning really the value of the entire concept of applying formulas and logic to something as important and as personal as the title for your book. I'll answer those by stating simply no. I am not so bold as to try and tell you that you have to follow my advice when picking your name. It is completely up to you. But if you do follow my advice and then apply your own art, well, then the worst that will happen is that you stand a slightly better chance of being found by a potential reader. And really, where's the harm in that? Okay, enough of me trying to convince you to keep watching. Let's get right down into the meat of things. Now, this time, we're going to use free tools to help figure out what to write about, as much as we are going to figure out what to call your book when it's finished. Now, that probably freaks some of you out, and I can already hear the objections. Did F. Scott Fitzgerald focus on audience intent to come up with The Great Gatsby? Were 50 Shades of Grey or Twilight born of survey data? Well, no, probably not. But, in my defense, it probably doesn't take a conspiracy theorist to explain that 3 out of the 4 best-selling nonfiction titles on the USA Today bestseller lists in the U.S. since the election in November 12, well, those were all about former presidents. Not too terribly surprising. And yes, that was planned long in advance, and by using a similar methodology, you can plan too. It's really all about timing the trends. Now, as a digital author, you have speed to market on your side, because some trends don't cycle every 4 years. You probably don't have months to research, 6 months to write, 6 months to edit, 6 months to pre-promote, and finally launch that thing. In 2 years, that trend you've been chasing might be over. But I'm theorizing, so let's get into the tools that can help you. The very first one is called Google Trends. Google Trends is found at google.com/trends or at trends.google.com. Either way will get you there. So it looks like a regular Google interface, but it really is a lot different. If you drop in your working title's name, you're probably not going to get much out of this one. So once again, I'll show you how this works with a suggestion that came up from our last recording when we did this one live, where Ruth Carter was planning on her next book on flash mobs. Okay, let's type that word in, flash mobs, and we're going to hit enter or explore. Now let me familiarize you with the screen that resolves here. That large section on top is the trend graph. In most cases, it's going to look just like this, a line chart that goes back to 2004, and it shows how the entered term has indexed to the present. We'll talk about what indexed means in just a moment. Typically, you'll also see little letters in the flags along those lines that indicate some key news headlines about that topic, exactly when they happened. You can mouse over any of them to get more information. You can also toggle these on and off with that checkbox above the chart, but you'll probably want to leave them on. More importantly, right next to that box, click the one that is called Forecast. Now you should see Google's best guess, and Google is a pretty good guesser, on what might happen to that term over the next 12 months. Pretty slick, huh? Okay, so what is this trend graph really telling us? Well, that the popularity of the term flash mob going up. So it sounds like a really good topic for you, Ruth, and one that looks like it's continuing to trend. but it's not as steep as it has been, so really there's no time to waste. Go write that book. But before you jump in, let's take a look at the two sections below that. So the one on the left is a heat map of countries, and they show where most of the interest on that term is coming from. But in this case, the U.S. isn't the darkest shade of blue. That may not bode well for U.S. sales. If you look further onto that left a little bit, you'll see and change that Limit To selector on top. Change that from worldwide to United States, and we'll notice how that graph changes. Now it looks like the rising popularity might actually be over, and there's no forecast available. Now, this doesn't mean that a book on flash mobs is a bad idea. Lots of things influence search behavior. And the fact that flash mobs shows up at all here indicates that there is an audience. So if you're still set on that book, again, go write the book. Okay. Let me give you a note on these numbers. These numbers are indexed numbers, not raw search numbers like we saw in part 1. This index is very helpful, particularly when you compare terms together, which you can do by clicking Add Terms also on the left. In fact, let's add, in quotes, our phrase as 2 words, flash mob. 2 words. Or if you already had it in that way, then simply add flash mob as one single term and now hit enter. Now these results are quite interesting. As 2 words, there is a lot more intent, and it might even be picking up. That's food for thought when you pick that final title, Ruth. Now, of course, there's a whole lot more to the Google Trends system. You can zoom in on the last month if you were a really, really fast writer. You can even narrow it down to the category books and literature. In fact, go ahead and select that category and change your keywords to unicorn and mermaid fantasy authors. One sure seems like a better bet when you see that search result. Okay, and finally, you can unpack things a little bit more with that graph on the lower right side. That shows you related keywords. If you remove unicorn and just look at mermaid, you'll see that Little Mermaid makes up the lion's share of that phrase's trending popularity. Now, we're deep down a really silly rabbit hole, I get that. And as you can see, this gets pretty interesting, though. More importantly, I think it can really help you narrow your focus. Okay, let's leave the giant world of Google and get you into one of my favorite idea-generating tools, Übersuggest. You'll find it at Übersuggest.org. It's funny spelling, I get it, Übersuggest.org. Now, I really like Übersuggest very early in the ideation stage. For a totally mercenary and probably unrealistic example, let's type in books about and make sure we're set to English USA on the web and hit suggest. Now below that is a list of suggestions. It takes the phrase you entered and returns real search queries in addition to the words you entered. Right now, my top suggestions are books about Obama, books about the Holocaust, and books about heaven. And it looks like there's also popularity around eating disorders, bullying, and dogs right now. Now below that first set of the tool, it gets a lot more specific. It adds in letters, alphabetically, and numbers as well to uncover what phrases are actually being searched on. In the A's, I see anorexia and autism first. In the B's, bullying and books. Books about books. Well, I guess that makes sense. So as I said, it goes all the way through to Z. It even gets into the numbers that you're using as well. Now, I'm not suggesting you only search on books about to figure out what you could write about. Let's use a real-world example. Back to Ruth's idea on the flash mob book. Let's type that in to see how knowing what people are actually searching on might show you how the book and how its title might be refined. So type in flash mob. We're going to get flash mob proposal. That sounds like someone's trying to make money off of flash mobs. I bet you they might buy a book. But flash mob crime sounds like a more book-worthy topic than a flash mob video, for example, right? Okay, and as a bonus, I'll tell you that I like Übersuggest to help me understand the competition. Joel Friedlander, which is spelled like Friedlander. He also does author training. Now, I can search on his name with Übersuggest to see what people are looking for, which is pretty much what he's known for. I can try to go head-to-head with him, or I can try and find a value proposition he is not currently known for. Now, that is a much better option for me. You might try searching on Scott Sigler if you write horror fiction. What isn't he known for? Or maybe Jay Baer, B-A-E-R, if you want to write a book about social media and are looking to create your own niche. The trick is to use tools like Übersuggest and Google Trends early and often in the process. No, I am not suggesting that you only write about what's trending and hip. But every writer I know has at least an idea or two or dozens kicking around in their brain. Why not let the one come out to play that has the greatest chance of success right now? Okay, that does it for part 2 of Book Titles, a mixture of art and science. We hope you enjoyed this free pro tip seminar. While you wait for us to create more, I'd invite you back to our website for all the other educational offerings we have at epublishunum.com. Our goal is to help you, an author, survive and thrive in a digital world, and we'd love the chance to help you specifically. For Jeff Moriarty, I'm Evo Terra. Thanks again for watching.